Everybody, thanks so much for joining me in this live stream. Really do appreciate it. All right, so in this live stream right here, we're specifically talking about SSI, supplemental security income. Obviously is administered by Social Security. But anyway, I want to talk about a few different things here because some new information is being released here. I was out a few days ago in a separate live stream and said, hey, everybody on SSI, just get ready for this. Some information has been leaked with an announcement that will be coming out here directly impacting SSI. Well, we're getting more information on this. And again, I just want you to be very, very aware of this because this will directly impact SSI benefit checks in a pretty massive way, okay? Now, this rule changed about a year ago, and it was actually a change in the favor of SSI beneficiaries. However, with the leaked information that is out there now, they are talking about and moving forward with repealing this and moving these rules back to the old rule prior to the change of last year. And I want you to be aware of this because this will directly impact benefit checks for probably about 500,000 beneficiaries, give or take a little bit, depends on the reports that you look at. But we're talking like hundreds of thousands, nearly about 500,000 people that will be impacted by these changes here, okay? Now, the other day in the separate live stream, I discussed this. It's confusing. I'm going to say that much right now. I'm going to spend some time here with you. However long this takes, doesn't matter. I'll do what I can to explain this. I'll do my best to describe all the details around this, what you need to know, everything like that. And I'll just continue to really try to hammer down on this and try to make it as clear as possible as far as what's happening. But again, I totally recognize, again, based on the comments from the video the other day, totally get it. Some people were like, I have no idea what this even means, okay? Anyway, I'll explain this. Okay, again, before we get into this, I just want to make this very clear. Everything I'm talking about here is directly pertaining to SSI, supplemental security income, not SSDI, not retirement, not survivors, not spousal, not VA, not RRB, but rather just SSI, supplemental security income administered by Social Security. And again, I know you know that, just want to make it very clear so that, you know, somebody else receiving, you know, some other kind of benefit doesn't think that this applies to them. Not that, just SSI. Okay, anyway, so following up to the video that I had out the other day, okay, the live stream from a few days ago, there's something within SSI, they call it ISM. It stands for in-kind support and maintenance, okay? Now, let me explain this just super fast here, and this is kind of one of the confusing parts. But as an SSI beneficiary, they have basically this metric, again, ISM, in-kind support and maintenance. What that really means, think of it this way. When you hear that little phrase or the acronym ISM, when you hear that, think of it this way. Assistance in any kind, as in housing assistance, rental assistance, food assistance, things like that, okay? So example being this. Let's just say that you're an SSI beneficiary and you're living with somebody. Again, this probably isn't the case for you. I'm just saying, using this as an example, okay? But anyway, let's just say that you're a beneficiary of SSI. You're living with somebody because you're living on SSI. I mean, honestly, you don't get much money every month. We know that much, right? It's very hard to live on your own. So you're living with somebody. The person that you're living with is paying all the rent or whatever it happens to be. And they're saying, hey, just trying to help you out here. You don't have to pay anything for rent, okay? In that type of situation, you would there be getting assistance, housing assistance, right? They're literally paying all the rent. And according to the definitions here, as far as how they define this is, well, I hate to even say this. I don't even want to say this right now, but the person, the beneficiary, may not be paying their share, okay? I can't stand hearing that statement these days. Oh, pay your fair share. I mean, seriously, those days are over. You know what I mean? We spent 4 years hearing that stupid statement all the time. So anyway, I don't want to say that, but that's what it comes down to, right? Somebody that's not paying any rent, something like that. Sorry, hang on. There's screaming outside my door. So anyway, just I want to make sure everything's okay out there. Anyway, I hope all is well. Okay. I don't like the screaming out there. It's making me scared. I don't know what's going on. Okay, I don't know if you can hear all that. Sorry. I want to make sure everything's okay. Okay, I'm just going to keep talking as if everything's okay, and if not, I guess they'll just come walking right in, I guess. Okay, anyway, so ISM, okay? So basically, if you're getting housing assistance, rental assistance, you're living with somebody, whatever it happens to be, they, you know, paying all the rent, stuff like that, that would be considered assistance. In other words, in that type of situation, you are supposed to report that. You're supposed to report that and say, hey, I'm getting this assistance. And generally, they would know about that. And as a result, they would reduce somebody's SSI benefit payment because of that type of assistance. Weird, right? But that's how it goes, okay? But anyway, along with that, same thing goes with food assistance. This is the example that I've given over the years, which is, well, if a friend, a family member, a neighbor, acquaintance, a stranger, somebody like that, literally doesn't matter who, if somebody were to just give you some food because they want to help you out, right? You're supposed to report that, and that could reduce somebody's SSI benefit, okay? Super weird, but that's how the program is set up, right? If you get any kind of assistance, they want to know about it, and then they reduce benefit checks accordingly because of that. Not good, right? Okay, so anyway, about a year ago, give or take a little bit, I don't remember when it was last year, but Social Security came out and they made a press release announcement, and they said that they were going to be changing the definition of what is considered a public assistance household. Okay, and again, I know this is confusing, just trying to do my best to explain this, and then we can get into each of these in a little bit more detail if you want me to. But anyway, about a year ago or sometime last year, they changed the definition of a public assistance household, and they added supplemental nutrition assistance program to the definition of a public assistance household, whereas the old definition did not consider a household with people receiving SNAP, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program benefits, as considered to be a public assistance household. But they added that last year, which basically means it made it easier for people to get SSI benefits, and it made it easier for people to get an increase to their monthly benefit by the changing of these definitions, okay? Following along here? I hope so, okay? I know this is confusing, but anyway, so that's what they did. And then remember, the old definition was every single person within a house needed to be enrolled in some type of public assistance program. Everybody in a household. For example, a household has two people. One person gets public assistance. That would not, with the old rule, be considered a public assistance household. However, that same household, if both people are receiving public assistance with the old definition, then it'd be considered a public assistance household. But let's just say that with the new definition, you could have one person, well, you could have a household of 10 people. And if you have one person has maybe SSI, is an applicant of SSI or currently receiving benefits, and maybe one other person is having, getting, say, like SNAP benefits, food stamps, something like that, then that would be considered a public assistance household as they changed the definition. That's all it would have had to been. Okay, so they changed it from everybody down to just basically, well, just somebody else within the household receiving public assistance, and then they'd be good. Okay, point being is that when they changed this definition of the public assistance household, then including SNAP benefits, food stamps into that list of different programs that are out there that allows somebody to be considered a public assistance household, now all these people that are receiving SSI that were being reduced benefits, or I should say that were getting reduced benefits because they were living in a household with somebody with SNAP, something like that, assuming that the person was getting assistance with food, they reduced the person's monthly benefit. Well, then with the definition that they changed last year, the new definition, now it's like, hey, well, we're not going to consider this, what I should say is we're not going to hold this against the SSI beneficiary for getting that support and maintenance now, and we're going to raise their benefit. We're not going to hold that against them and reduce their benefit check as a result. Does that make sense? Again, maybe I didn't explain that very well, but I think that kind of makes sense, okay? So anyway, it actually increased benefit checks for a lot of people last year receiving SSI that were technically being punished, essentially, and getting reduced benefits because of getting some type of assistance. Again, living with somebody and not paying, a share of rent, getting food assistance, whatever it happened to be. It previously was reducing benefits, and then as of last year, it was no longer penalizing beneficiaries, all that, okay? Until now, here's what it comes in to be. So this rule that changed last year has been in effect. However, the administration is changing that rule back. They're walking the rule back. They're reverting back to the original rule that actually came in and was put into effect back in the 80s. Actually, 1980 is when it was put into effect. And again, it just changed last year to make it more favorable for the beneficiaries. But as of now, it's still in effect for now, but they're rolling it back and they're going to be reverting back to the old rule. In other words, what this means is, well, long story short, is that when they revert this back, the definition of a public assistance household is going to go back to the old definition. Somebody within the household receiving SNAP benefits, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, is no longer going to allow that household to be considered a public assistance household. What that simply means is that, long story short, SSI beneficiaries could potentially see a massive reduction to their monthly benefit because it'll go back as being assisted by somebody, getting assistance with food or housing, that in-kind support and maintenance definition, right? So whereas last year when they changed the rule, that was no longer punishing beneficiaries. But now, because they're going to be rolling this rule back, anybody that's receiving any type of assistance, rental assistance, housing assistance, food assistance, whatever it happens to be, is going to come in and actually reduce SSI benefit checks, okay? Now you're probably wondering, how much? How much could it reduce benefits? And who? Who else? That's another really good question as well. Who's going to see this? I'll explain that for you right now. How much? Up to 33% of somebody's maximum benefit, okay? So for example, if somebody is an individual receiving the maximum benefit on SSI, maximum benefit on SSI is $967. 33% of that would be about $322. About $322. Give it, well, yeah, it's about $322. So maximum benefit reduction for an individual could be upwards of $322 of a reduction. 1/3 of someone's benefit could be reduced in the event that they are receiving any type of assistance, as in housing or food. And again, I know that I've said that multiple times. I just want to make that very clear of the different types of assistance somebody could be getting that may impact their monthly benefit. Does that make sense? Okay. I can explain that a little bit more in more detail if you want me to. Let me know. Okay. Now next, who's going to be impacted by this? Well, according to the numbers that I've seen out there, I've seen numbers as low as sub 400,000. I've seen numbers up to about 500,000. So let's just call it between 300 and 500,000 people, give or take a little bit. So just call it about 500,000 people, give or take a little, as far as who may be impacted by this. Now, that's not very many people considering the total amount of people receiving SSI, which is about 7.4 million people as of right now that are currently receiving SSI benefits. So I guess if you look at the big picture, it's, call it 500,000 people out of roughly 7.4 million people. It's, relatively a small percentage, but nonetheless, it's still 500,000 people that'll be impacted by this. Okay. So, what do you need to do about it? I guess I wouldn't really say to do anything about it as of right now, right? Here's the deal. If you're on SSI and if you're living with a family member, a friend, an acquaintance, a roommate or somebody who's maybe allowing you to live with them. And again, I don't know if this is a situation for everybody. I'm just saying in general terms here, if you're living with somebody and, they're saying, hey, totally understand living on a fixed income, you're living on $967 a month or whatever it happens to be, totally understand it's really rough out there for you. We totally get it. You can just stay here for a while or whatever. Don't pay any rent for now, stuff like that. These are the individuals that should be, I shouldn't say should, these are the individuals that may be pretty worried about this and may see some reductions to their monthly benefit. Okay. So just want you to be very, very aware of this as they're rolling this rule back. Now, here's the interesting part about this. And again, I said this, I don't know, like a few weeks ago. I don't know when I said this in a separate video. Have you noticed that every single rule that has come out to be changed so far this year from Social Security, number one, they've rolled back a bunch of the rules that were implemented last year, right? So a bunch of the rules that were implemented and changed last year to make things more favorable or to help beneficiaries or to do whatever. It doesn't really matter what it was. A lot of the rules that were announced last year have been rolled back, right? Not only that, almost all of them, all of the different announcements that have come out this year, there's only a couple, like 2 or 3 maybe, that have been announced this year out of Social Security, which we've received a lot of announcements so far this year out of Social Security. Most of them, like the vast majority of them, with the exception of just a couple of them, have been walked back. Like for an instance, they come out one day and they're like, hey, we're going to do this one thing. We're going to, whatever it happens to be, we're going to do this. And it's coming into effect on this date. And then like the next day or like a week later or like 2 weeks later, whatever it happens to be, they come back and they say, just kidding. Yeah, just kidding. We're actually not going to do that. We're not going to do that. Don't worry. Right. And I've mentioned this a couple of times. It just seems very, very weird. Like, is anybody thinking before they make these announcements, or do they just make a bunch of announcements and then say, oh, let's announce it and let's think about it for a minute? No. Right. So I don't know. It just seems very odd how they continue to come out with all these announcements and then walk them back. Like almost immediately, they come back and say, just kidding. We're actually not going to do that quite yet. It just seems very weird. But anyway, in this situation right here, with this change and this announcement, this would be potentially bad for SSI beneficiaries. Potentially bad. I mean, everybody, no. But, a fraction of beneficiaries, for sure. Yeah. Again, roughly 500,000 people, give or take a little bit, that would be impacted by this. Okay. Now, let's see if I can run some simple mental math here, if I can. Let's just say it's 500,000 people. 500,000 people, let's just say the max benefit, the max reduction is, say, $300 a month on 500,000 people. Is that $1.5 million? I think that's right. $1.5 million. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Is that right? Yeah. 1.5 million. I think that's right on that. Anyway, $1.5 million a month is what they'd be saving. Do they really care about $1.5 million, right? Are they so hard up for cash that they really need to go after the lowest of the low income SSI beneficiaries to scrape up $1.5 million a month? Here's the thing. Like, who cares about $1.5 million a month for the government? You know what I'm saying? Like, don't get me wrong. They should be very good stewards of the taxpayer dollar. They should, do whatever they can. But really, you can't find $1.5 million to scrape up somewhere else out of all these other ridiculous programs that they have out there, all this stupid spending that they do left and right, but yet they're going to go after people with disabilities and seniors to scrape up $1.5 million a month so they can save some money. Have you looked how fast that we are burning money in this country? By the way, when I say burning, I'm just using it as a metaphor, but I don't mean like physically burning, but I mean like if you look at the debt clock, right? So like the clock as far as like how fast the government is spending money, like $1.5 million goes like in a second, right? It's nuts. So do they really need to do this? Right? Does this make any logical sense whatsoever? Now, here's the other part about this is interesting as well. All the money that goes out to SSI, I don't know if they realize this. This is super basic. And I think all of you recognize this just as much as I do. Super basic stuff. But all the money that is received by an SSI beneficiary, where does that money go? Like practically immediately. Like it's distributed. By the way, today, SSI beneficiaries got paid today. Hey, if you're an SSI beneficiary, drop a comment down below. Do you have any of your monthly benefit left, or did you spend it all today on like rent and utilities and groceries and all the backed up bills that you've had? It's probably mostly gone by now. I'm just saying. I'm not talking for everybody. I'm just saying the vast majority of people probably spent all that money like pretty much immediately right away today, right? So my point being is that when somebody gets paid from SSI, as in Social Security administers, their monthly benefit on the first of the month, or like today, when the first of the month lands on a holiday and you get paid a few days early, that's today, Friday, August 29th, that's today right now, SSI beneficiaries got paid. Where does that money go? Like practically immediately, Social Security distributes the money, and then what happens to it? Like minutes or hours later, it's basically all spent and put right back into the economy. Do they even think about this? I mean, seriously, if they thought about this for even just 1 minute, it would not be that hard to figure out. What do they want so badly right now? And what does the president keep having a cow about? Strong economy, strong jobs market, low inflation, the Federal Reserve lowering interest rates, right? He's talking about all this stuff all the time. It's not that hard to figure out what the president wants. Just listen to what he says and what he gets so worked up about. Not that hard. It's what he talks about all the time, right? So point being is that, if they wanted such a strong economy, think of this one. Think of this. If they just increased benefit checks for, say, the lowest income beneficiaries of, say, Social Security, retirement benefits, SSI, SSDI, spousal, survivors, VA beneficiaries, if they just lifted the benefit checks of the lowest income beneficiaries by, say, like 50 or 80 or 100%, which sounds nuts to us, but in real dollars, it's not that much money because the lowest income beneficiaries don't receive much at all. So if you were to raise these benefits by say 50, 80, or 100%, at the end of the day, it would only be like, I don't know, a few $100 million, maybe $1 billion a month or something. It would not be very much money. But that money would go immediately into the economy. Like practically the day that it's distributed, it'd go right back into the economy. We know this, right? Giving them exactly what they want: a strong economy, strong supply chains, demand for products and services, spending. Literally, that's what it is, right? Which ultimately flows right back into GDP. So it's just like, it's not that hard to figure out what they could do here to really juice this thing up, which is exactly what they want. Okay. So anyway, some very interesting things that are happening right now. Yeah, just want to point all these things out for you, and just so you can be very aware of this. Now, I'm going to be 100% fair with you. Everything that I explained earlier, I hope, number one, that made sense. I know that I kind of went off on a couple of rants there, and I know that I probably explained that in more detail than I really should have, because it maybe just added more confusion to this whole thing. But I just want you to realize this: it has not been officially announced yet out of Social Security, but based on the leaked information, as I mentioned in the live stream the other day, I said, hey, we've got some leakage here. We've got some leakage, right? That's a disgusting word, by the way. I don't know. Something about this seems really weird. But anyway, I said the other day in the live stream, I was like, hey, we've got some leakage on some information. And generally, when we get some leaked information out that we're not supposed to know about yet, it's only a matter of days or possibly a few weeks until the official announcement actually comes out. And then we get that official announcement. So I would not be shocked one bit at some point here in September, which is honestly like only a couple of days away. Monday is September already. That's nuts, right? But anyway, I would not be shocked one bit in just a matter of days, sometime in September. Does not mean the first of the month, does not mean the first or the second or the fifth or whatever like that. I'm just saying at some point in September, I wouldn't be shocked to see this announcement come out of Social Security officially announcing the rollback of basically the definition of a public assistance household and how they define this in-kind support and maintenance, this type of situation. That. Now I'm going to say this much as well. I hope they don't announce it. I really hope they don't announce it. Why? Well, because this would be really bad for beneficiaries. This would not be a good announcement. We do not want to get this announcement. We do not want them to officially roll this back. We do not want Social Security to make this announcement. If they don't announce it, it would actually be better for the beneficiary. It's better for SSI beneficiaries if they do not announce this whatsoever. So in this type of situation, I feel like, please don't announce this. It would actually be better for a lot of you here in this community and roughly 7.5 million people that receive SSI and the people that potentially be impacted by this. Yeah, exactly. Does that make sense? Okay. By the way, I think it was late. Was it this morning? I think it was either this morning or yesterday. I don't remember which day it was. It was either this morning or yesterday. Somebody here in the community by the name of Loretta Green, if you're watching this right now, hey, shout out to you. She reached out down below in the comment section and said, hey, I heard about this. Can you make a dedicated video? So here's a dedicated live stream. This is a bit longer than I want it to be. This live stream right here, who knows? Maybe I'll come back in a dedicated video and shorten this up quite a bit and explain it in less detail so that it's a little bit more easy to understand all this. Maybe I'll do that. That's kind of one of the tough parts about live streams, honestly. It's easy to get carried away in a live stream and talk about all kinds of random stuff. Whereas in a video, it's like, a video, I'm just like, here's what I'm sharing with you, blah, 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 blah. And then I'm just like, done. Okay. But in a live stream, I'm like, hey, I just keep thinking all this stuff that I want to keep pointing out for you and just keep talking about. Right. So anyway, kind of one of the downfalls of live streams. Generally, they are, quite a bit longer than just videos. Who knows? Maybe I'll make you a dedicated video here at some point and describe this in further detail here. But rough situation, right? By the way, I've had a few people reaching out recently. Okay, I'm not going to make a dedicated video about this. I'll just answer it here really quickly for you. I get this question often enough, like not all the time, not daily, but I see it often enough where people wonder and want to know, what about the marriage penalty? What's going on with the marriage penalty? Is it still a thing? Yes, marriage penalty is still definitely a thing. It's not going anywhere as of right now, okay? Could they possibly roll the marriage penalty back and repeal it? They could, but as of right now, they have not done that yet. Okay, just want to point that out for you. Again, I have some questions coming in on this. Some people asking me, what's going on with the marriage penalty? Have they repealed it yet? Not yet, not as of right now. I'm going to be fair with you. I don't think they're going to anytime soon. Okay, that's probably not what you want to hear. I'm just being honest with you. I don't think they're going to anytime soon. Why? Because if they repealed the okay, let's just think of it this way. Okay, let's just kind of go back to what I mentioned here starting with this video. By changing the in-kind support and maintenance, they're basically going to scrape up, you know, a few $100s from 500,000 beneficiaries, about $1.5 million a month. Hooray for them. Wow, they saved $1.5 million a month. Who cares? That's chump change to them, right? That's nothing. To you and me, $1.5 million a month, sign me up. I'll gladly take that. I'd be super happy with $1.5 million a month, right? To you and me, that's a lot. I'd be very happy with that. To them, $1.5 million a month is nothing, is absolutely nothing, right? But anyway, so they're scraping up $1.5 million a month, roughly, from 500,000 beneficiaries because they're so hard up for cash. So the reason that I'm saying that I don't think they're going to repeal the marriage penalty anytime soon is because if they did, now they would essentially be locking in a raise to benefits for millions of beneficiaries who are married, in that category, married, and seeing a massive reduction to their benefit because of being married. Again, marriage penalty, hence the name, right? So anyway, because if they repealed the marriage penalty, well, then we would see all the people out there that are getting spousal SSI benefits, basically SSI benefits as a married couple. That reduction of their benefit, the penalty there, would no longer be in place. Therefore, these individuals would see a huge raise to their benefit at a tune of probably, what's the math on that? Like, I don't know, $300-400 a month, give or take a little bit. Again, I'd have to run the math more specifically, but it'd be hundreds of dollars a month. So it'd completely wipe out essentially, what they're trying to scrape together here by changing the definition of this ISM, in-kind support and maintenance. So it basically cancel each other out. That's why I'm saying, if you just look at what they're doing, I don't think they're going to repeal the marriage penalty anytime soon. That's just my opinion. Who knows? Maybe they'll do it tomorrow. I don't know. I highly, highly, highly doubt it. I think the odds of that happening is 0, but who knows? Maybe they do, right? That'd be awesome if they do. It'd be really, really good. But I just don't foresee them doing that because they've made it very clear to us this year. What do they want to do? They want to spend like crazy on their agenda, but they want to cut like crazy on not their agenda items, right? Again, just look at their priorities. It's just like anybody. You could look at the administration as a whole. And again, this is nothing against, the current administration, the previous administration. It's just, I'm here to give you facts and information. Okay. Again, I know some people get very sensitive about, the different administrations, stuff like that. I'm not here to bash anybody, anything like that in particular. I don't like to make political based videos. I'm just stating facts here. It's not that hard to figure out. You just look at like anybody, literally anybody. Look at your neighbor, look at your spouse, look at your best friend or whatever. Look at priorities. Money gets allocated to priorities. Money gets moved away from non-priorities. Same thing in this situation. Money gets allocated to priorities, hence the OBBB, multiple trillions of dollars, about, well, depends on which report you look at, $3.5 to $4.5 trillion allocated to the OBBB, again, priorities. And then all that money had to be scraped up somewhere and saved to pay for that from something else that is non-priority, right? So again, that's just how it goes, right? So anyway, so I want to point that out. And this, along with, as long as I'm off on a rant here, I might as well just keep going with this, right? So anyway, thing two, again, you probably heard me talk about this in other videos, which is, as of right now, SSI benefits are about 35% below the federal poverty line, which is honestly kind of weird because you hear this all the time. America is the most affluent country in the whole world. We are the richest and most wealthiest country in the whole world. But yet we have about 11 million seniors living in poverty. We have about 40 million people across this entire country collectively, man, woman, child, senior, people with disability, whatever it happens to be, everybody encompassed, about 40 million people in this country currently living in poverty. But yet we're the richest, right? By what measure? You know what I mean? Like, how do you measure that? I I don't know. It's kind of hard to really quantify that when you say, oh, we're the richest, we're the most affluent, but yet we've got 40 million people. Like, what is that? 15% of our population roughly is in poverty. And we've got $37.2 trillion in national debt. And we have like $18 trillion in consumer debt or something like that. I don't know the number. It's changing all the time, but something like that. Yeah, we're certainly rich in debt, right? Rich in debt. That's about all we've got in this country, rich in debt. Okay. By the way, great country. I love the United States. I'm so grateful to live here. I'm just saying, like, let's just say it how it is, right? Let's not have all these smoke and mirrors and act like that, like it's something that it's not, right? Because I'm pretty sure that's, that wouldn't be the case. So, all right, anyway, maybe we should leave it at that. I don't know. I think that's probably good enough of a rant for now. I hope this helps you to some degree. For those of you that have reached out asking about this in further detail, I hope this explains it. I know that this is very weird. I know that this is very confusing. If you're just jumping on right now, basically watch the first, oh geez, I don't know how long this live stream has been going here, but maybe watch the first 15-ish minutes or so. Or if you don't want to do that, that's totally fine too. Maybe just stand by. I'll make you another dedicated video. I know that I got way off track here in this video. I totally recognize that. I did explain the topic at hand in the first 15-ish minutes of this video or so, but I think I probably went into more detail than I needed to and probably confused some people. So if that's the case, I apologize. Certainly did not mean to do that. Just stand by. I'll make you a new video. I'll make it a video, not a live stream. Okay. Live streams, they're tough sometimes by getting so carried away. But I'll make you a new dedicated video on that. Stand by for the whole details on that. But basically, they just want to change the definition of a public assistance household, change the rule back on what is considered in-kind support and maintenance. With those two changes there, we're going to roll it back to the old rule prior to the change of last year. And this will likely impact SSI benefit checks by about 1/3 max for SSI beneficiaries who are impacted by this. In other words, who are getting rental assistance, housing assistance, or food assistance. Anybody in those categories, SSI beneficiaries, not other people, SSI only. Those individuals that are receiving some type of assistance like that could see up to a 1/3%. Does that make sense? A third of their check reduced because of these changes. A third would be, if you're getting the maximum, $967 as an individual. A third of your check being reduced would be a $322 monthly reduction to benefits because of that. Okay. So anyway, just talking about what they're talking about as far as the changes to the supplemental supplemental security income program, SSI benefits, and how beneficiaries could be impacted by these new changes. Is that going to make sense? Right? All right. So I'm going to have I'm going to text my wife, have her come on over and help me out. So Corey, if you're there, come on over and help me if you can. But otherwise, just stand by. I'll keep you posted on the further details on this and point out anything else that is out there happening right now. Very weird time that we're going through right now. Yes, SSI, like I said earlier, you got paid today. So no, you're not going to be paid on Monday. Okay. So I want to make that very clear. I've had a number of people reaching out about this. Next, no checks for SSI in the month of September. No checks for SSI in September. Okay. The reason for that is you got your payment that would have arrived on September 1st. You received that today. Okay. The reason I say that is I've had a number of people reaching out asking me about this. And I just wanted to clarify that. So if you haven't looked at your bank account as an SSI beneficiary, nobody else, just SSI, if you're SSI, supplemental security income, you got paid today. So if you haven't noticed, you might want to check your bank account. You might be surprised, right? Anyway, that's there for you. But remember, no checks in the month of September because you got paid early. Okay, so we've got however many days it is, 33 days or something like that, until we get paid again on October 1st. So just plan accordingly, budget wisely. Again, I know that you know all of this. I've said this before in other videos. Fixed income beneficiaries, Social Security beneficiaries, anybody living on a fixed income are like the most savvy people financially out there. because you get paid once per month, one time every 30, 31 days or whatever. You're getting one check that's usually a few $100s or right around a, few hundred to maybe $1,000. And you got to scrape by for the next 30 some odd days on that little bit of money. So again, I'm standing by that when I say that Social Security fixed income beneficiaries are like the savviest of the people out there, living on a small amount of money for an extended period of time, where most people can barely even make it a week before they get their next paycheck, and they're scraping around like, I gotta get paid on Friday. And it's like, dude, you just got paid last Friday. How are you struggling this much, right? For the people that get paid every other week, bi-weekly, they get paid every 2 weeks. And by the time they get their next payment, they're like, oh man, I just needed this so bad. I'm just struggling. And it's like, oh yeah, live the life of a fixed income beneficiary for a minute. And then, yeah, you can really see how it is. So, all right, anyway, Corey is not coming at the moment. Let's see what she's doing. Okay, I text her. Let's see if she happens to come over. So I'll have Corey come and help me. Until then, I'll just keep chatting with you. All right, anyway, by the way, if you know anybody on Medicare, again, there's a phone number right up here. Share that phone number. And again, I know SSI beneficiaries are not on Medicare, Medicaid. They can't help with Medicaid. But Medicare, if you're on Medicare, or you know anybody, I should say, on Medicare, share that phone number. So share that phone number. I've been highlighting and giving shout outs to a bunch of people lately for the last while now in the videos and in the community posts that are saving a ton of money by getting a quick review of their Medicare plan. It's nuts to see how much money people are saving. Kathy McCauley, she reached out to me a few times. I saw at least 3 comments from her in the last, few days or so. But she just left a comment. I think it was this morning, maybe. Yeah, I think it was maybe this morning or late yesterday. She's saving $2,000 because she made a quick call, again, to them to get some help with her Medicare plan. Ed Fitzgerald from San Diego, California, he reached out to me. He's saving $170 a month. That's over $2,000 a year. Again, because he called that phone number right there to get some help with his Medicare plan. Vikings Bears also reached out. That person, I'm not sure if it's a man or a woman. Kind of sounds like a name that a man would have. I'm just saying, right? I don't know if I'm right on that. I'm just saying Vikings Bears reached out. They again contacted that phone number, got some help with their Medicare, and also saving $1,000. So again, the list goes on and on. I could, give you a whole bunch of names, but it's pretty cool. It's awesome. And again, it's 100% for free. You can call them. You can get some help. You can talk to them, ask your questions. Here's another thing as well. I've mentioned this a little bit lately as well. Just call them. If you have any questions on Medicare, any questions, it literally doesn't matter. If you have any questions on Medicare, just call them and ask your questions. That's the cool thing about a free resource like that. You can just call them and be like, hey, I have some questions on Medicare. And they can just help you out. Not a big deal whatsoever at all. And remember this much. In about 6 weeks, give or take a little bit, middle of October, that's weirdly close. It's not that far away. The middle of October, annual enrollment opens up. Annual enrollment opens up the middle of October, right? That's only about 6 weeks away. So if you call that phone number there, you give them a call, you talk to them, and you get a review of your Medicare plan, you'll be bumped to the front of the line for annual enrollment when that opens up in mid-October, so that when it's time, they just be like, hey, we got you on the books here. Let's do this and let's just get it done and make sure that you're properly covered. They review whatever you're currently on, things like that. And just make sure that you're properly covered. And again, saving you hopefully a ton of money, no guarantees whatsoever, but a lot of people have saved a lot of money, making sure that you have the right plan, the best coverages, all kinds of things like that. And they've helped out so many of you here in this community. Nearly 5,000 of you here in this community have called them. Absolutely incredible. All right, anyway, let me text Corey to see what she's doing. Like, hey, Corey, can you come and help me out, please? All right, anyway, let's see. I'll text her again. I sent her a text message. Can you please help? Okay. Okay. Oopsie. Okay. I text her again. Hopefully she's able to come and help me out. We'll see. Okay. Let's see. What else? What else can I do? Maybe I should get in the chat box. Maybe I can spend a little bit of time in the chat if I can get in the chat by the time that Corey gets here. If not, I guess I'll just have to bail. But let's see. Maybe I can get in the chat. Give me a second here. This is always a slow part. I apologize. I'll get into the chat box. I'll do my best to answer some questions, if I can, before Corey gets here to help me out. I'll get in here. Okay, this is a slow time. I apologize. I'm going to get into the chat. We'll answer some questions. I'll do my best. Here we go. Come on. Sorry, I'm slow. Okay, here we go. James Lara, you're funny. I see your comment there. Yeah, you're funny. Oh, Corey's here. Yeah. Okay, anyway, yes, let's leave it at that. I apologize, just got in the chat. All right, let's do it again sometime soon. Again, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you're new here. Leave your comments down below. Drop your comments down below. I will answer those. Otherwise, I'll come back in a separate one. All right, please have a nice afternoon. And happy Friday, by the way. I'll catch you again soon. I hope this helps. Stand by.